we're going to start soon. So to avoid escalation, we're supposed to only have 15 people on the steps for now. So at the moment, for now, can you guys all come off the steps while we start? Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Pallis-Misner.
And I'm Sophie Anderson.
Hey, Jax.
We're a part of Extinction Rebellion youth. 40 weeks ago, a 16-year-old Swedish girl began striking school for climate alone in front of the Swedish parliament. And in those last 40 weeks, we've built a movement.
2 months ago, 2 million people marched together across 125 countries to raise attention for the climate crisis. And while we're far from success, we're starting to get people to listen to us.
Today, we stand just as strong as before, with the same goal that Greta Thunberg had then, to demand immediate action and climate justice.
Historically, nonviolent direct action has been one of the most successful methods of making change the world has seen. The Indian independence movement, the American civil rights movement, the women's suffrage movement, and more have all used direct action.
But we do not have to look too far into history to find success in direct action. We can look just 1 month back to the United Kingdom, where Extinction Rebellion organized thousands of protesters to block the street for 11 days, ultimately causing the UK to declare a climate emergency.
Extinction Rebellion is a group started in the UK last November that quickly spread into an international movement. XR was born out of the idea that everyday people need to unite to make change, and places an emphasis on breaking down oppressive power hierarchies for equitable participation. XR uses nonviolent civil disobedience to create change for the purpose of minimizing the risk of human extinction and ecological collapse.
We stand with Extinction Rebellion's 4 demands: for the government to tell the truth about climate change, to act now for net zero carbon by 2025, to create a citizens' assembly, and for climate justice and a just transition. On April 15th, International Rebellion was announced, and XR Youth US was launched. Now we're here to uphold the same principles and at the same time be an inclusive, bold voice for the youth in our country, and are looking for as much support as we can get.
Direct action is people taking the power back. By walking in the streets, chanting, blocking off roads and buildings, we are making our voice heard. By engaging in direct action, we frequently cause people massive inconvenience. And we're sorry for the inconvenience, but we would not be doing this if we weren't living in an emergency.
Today, we are engaging in a direct action to call attention to the climate crisis. As youth, we cannot vote. We are not the owners of the 100 companies that are responsible for 71% of greenhouse gas emissions. And most of the time, grown-ups don't want to listen to us unless we make a lot of noise. To make change, we have to disrupt those in power. And that's what we are doing today. So today we're blocking the entrance to City Hall until the end of this protest, because clearly rebellion is what it takes to get adults to listen to us. In the meantime, we're gonna have some other speakers and some chanting. So, yeah.
Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die.
pretend for a minute that we're all on a train. Someone with a map is the first to find out that, oh crap, we're heading straight for a cliff. They tell more people that they're heading straight towards their doom, and as people figure out that they're right, they go to the front of the train and are rightly concerned. As people continue to find out that they're heading for a dead end, they freak out. Most of them. Some see the cliff, look at the cliff and say, must be a mirage. Others say, okay, maybe there is a cliff, but there's nothing we can do anymore, and the fastest place that I need to be is straight ahead, so who cares? These people, the deniers, go straight back to their comfy seats and do nothing. Meanwhile, the rest of the concerned passengers go and talk to the conductor, banging on the door, but the conductor stares straight ahead and does nothing, even though their fate lies with the rest of the passengers at the end of the cliff. As more and more people find out that they are heading straight towards their doom, they start banging on the door, and eventually, the conductor can't ignore them anymore. That's us. We're the concerned passengers banging on the door. My name is Charlotte Till.
And my name is Mia Portner. We organize the Los Lomas Fight for Walnut Creek.
In the process of organizing this rally at my school, I had a lot of people tell me, protesting won't change anything. Or, there's nothing we can do anymore. It's too late. But if more and more of us keep banging on that door, they can't ignore us. That's what we're doing today, and that's what we have to keep doing for as long as it takes to make them listen. It's not too late for our planet. It's not too late for us. We just have to fight for it.
We are here today because we care.
We care about you.
We care about us.
We care about our children.
We care about our children's children.
We care about our future.
Not just for us, but the future of everyone and everything we know to exist.
That's what we say we are fighting for when we say we're fighting for climate justice.
I came here last March by myself. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know that when I found the crowd after running around from BART that I would immediately feel at home. Surrounded by kids just like me. Kids fighting for something bigger than themselves. Last time I was here at the march, I felt pride. Pride in my community of the Bay Area for showing up, and pride in the kids who cared. It's not every day that you get to march alongside like-minded students and feel like you're part of something bigger.
We are always told that we should stand up for what we believe in, that we should act when we see injustice. All of you who showed up here today are doing just that.
Social change and social justice in history is characterized by protests like this that shake the world into realizing something is wrong.
But this time, we're the ones leading the pack. Students.
Kids. Us. There's no when you're older or when you grow up. No, you're acting now. By showing up here, by rallying other students from your school or community to show up, you have proven that you care, that you're not afraid to stand up. In the words of one of my heroes, Greta Thunberg, activism works, so act. And all of you here are acting.
These school strikes demand change. By leaving school, people notice. But we are not just advocating for more recycling or more compost. We are advocating for real, sustainable, realistic government action.
And when we say realistic, you may think we mean affordable. And you're right, we do, but not in the way you might think. We mean affordable because we cannot afford to lose our planet in 2030. We cannot afford to lose species 1,000 times faster than natural background rates.
We cannot afford to die out as a human race because of our own irresponsibility and stupidity. We are just another species. We were not meant to destroy this earth. We were meant to protect this earth. As Greta Thunberg also says, we have all the facts and solutions. All we have to do is wake up and change. And she's right.
But this isn't at all a pep talk. This is a warning. Scientists say we only have 11 years left to change the system and reduce carbon emissions drastically enough to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees.
This maximum warning will already cause devastation in habitats, cause thousands of species to die, and increase natural disasters worldwide. Anything above this maximum means the end of our world as we know it and the eventual decline of our species. Because we live in America, we have a special responsibility to this destruction. Even though the United States makes up only 4% of the world's population, we contribute to 25% of carbon emissions worldwide.
But this shouldn't just be a warning. This should be a turning point. We've had the warnings, we've had them for years. We are all here today because a 16-year-old girl from Sweden decided to stand outside of Swedish Parliament every Friday to demand action. When someone like us, someone without political power, someone without a job, a student, erupts change and starts something like this, she sends us all the message that we do have the power. Woo! As students, we cannot easily change laws or implement solutions because as much as we may want to, we are not in positions of political power. The people who are in positions of political power aren't just ignoring the problem, they are derailing previous progress and worsening the situation.
Our current head of the EPA is a former coal lobbyist. We have a president who does not believe in climate change. According to the New York Times, Trump has sought to undo Obama's agenda by blocking, delaying, and killing measures taken to improve environmental protection in the U.S. These times are more than scary.
Our presidential administration is more than scary. This is not normal.
If you support Trump and his agenda, then you don't support the Earth.
But climate change is not political. It's real. And it won't stop if you refuse to believe in it. It will affect all of us.
Ignoring the issue only exacerbates the problem.
History has proven time and time again that protests like this can affect real change.
History has proven that those not in power can stand up to those not doing what is clearly right.
We have an opportunity right now to affect real change.
And we need to take it.
Climate change is not just an environmental issue.
It's an intersectional issue.
Because first-hand effects of pollution disproportionately affect communities of color.
Climate change is not just an environmental issue.
It's a human issue.
Because if we don't act soon, there is no continuation of civilization.
Climate change is not just an environmental issue. It's a world issue.
It's an Earth issue.
It's a real issue.
Because if you support the Earth, you're supporting all of us, all around the world.
If we want to change the world, first we need a world to change. Yes. Yes, all of these facts are hard to fathom. How can we possibly be responsible for the destruction of everything we know?
If we can't see it happening in front of our eyes, how can we wrap our heads around it? But facts are facts.
And if you can't accept them, don't ignore them. Change them now.
Alright, y'all, show us what democracy looks like! Come on, we gotta hype this up, because this is what democracy looks like! Show us what democracy looks like! Show us what democracy looks like!
Everyone, give it up for Caitlin, please.
Okay, this is a speech expressing my anger towards our leaders and our politicians for not taking action. By 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by weight. So when people say save the turtles, it's not only about the turtles, it's about every species on this earth. It's about taking care of what Mother Earth has given us. We have to fight to make a change. Today we are all gathered here for one reason, and that reason is because we want to save our Earth, our only Earth, rather than destroy it. Politicians need to understand that this is a climate crisis and that they cannot just turn a blind eye on this issue. They need to know that we cannot go back in time and erase all the damage that has been done. I want politicians to look back at a time when oceans weren't polluted, when icebergs weren't melting, when polar bears had a home, when the temperature of the earth wasn't increasing so quickly, when we didn't have extreme weather patterns and the deaths of many. Our leaders need to act now before it's too late. We are taking responsibility and we will be heard.
drastically altered to fit the new biosphere we've created. If we don't take radical action today, we'll be walking a path to an ecologically ruined planet. A world where the climate crisis isn't averted, is a world where food is scarce, where natural disasters are commonplace, where millions of people are forced to leave their homes. But hope is not yet lost. We still have time. We can still make change, radical change, before it's too late. But turning off the lights, taking shorter showers, and driving electric cars, all of that, in the grand scheme of things, is ineffective and insignificant. Our government needs to make changes from the top down. And it's up to us to convince them.
Yeah. Let's go.
We can do this. We're youth. We have that innate rebellious spirit. We can't be kept down forever. In 2 years, people my age will be able to vote. In 9 years, we'll be able to run for House. In 19 years, in 14 years, we can run for the Senate. In 19 years, one of us could be president. It's only a matter of time before we have the power. And the adults will no longer have a way of silencing us. But we can't wait 19 years. We need action now. Now!
Our politicians have the power to change the world. They have the power to fix this crisis. But they don't. Why? Because our politicians don't represent us. Many of the politicians in Washington today, even some Democrats, are bought bought and paid for by the elite, the CEOs, the banks, the hedge fund managers, the very corporations who are killing us just to make a couple bucks for their bottom line. 71% of all CO2 emissions are produced by 100 companies. And because of our spineless politicians who are in their pockets, Exxon, BP, and Shell can do whatever they want. Nothing is stopping them. The wealth of these oil barons might make them immune for a time, but sooner or later, the bell will toll for them too. Thing is, these politicians and these CEOs who are selling out our future, they'll be dead when the worst of the consequences hit. They won't have to watch as their homes burn, as their crops dry up, as their streets are flooded. They can ignore all that because they'll be safe in their grave.
We can't ignore it. We're going to be living in it. In fact, some of us are already living it. In particular, underprivileged communities and communities of color are already being affected by climate change. Food shortages, floods, fires, all of these disproportionately affect marginalized communities. But nothing is being done about this because they don't have as much representation in Congress as rich white men. So, we need to make all the noise. We need to raise hell. We all need to tell our politicians that we demand a Green New Deal, that we demand carbon regulations, that we demand just and sustainable environmental development policies. Nancy Pelosi, San Francisco's representative, doesn't support the Green New Deal. So let's raise our voices and tell her that it's unacceptable.
The politicians and the executives who stayed their hand and neglected to act during this period of crisis are going to be judged harshly by history. It will be us, the youth, and those who support us who will be remembered as the change makers and the saviors of our planet. So I ask this question to all those in Washington who are stalling, who are making excuses, who aren't acting on climate change. Which side would you rather be on? Will you be remembered as nothing more than a greedy bastard who sacrificed the future for a quick profit? Or will you be remembered as a true, radical leader? Will you block the way to a better world with the regressive climate policies? Or will you forge ahead and lay the foundations for prosperity? Will you be left behind? Or will you join us and save the world? What will you do for the people who elected you to serve your community? Because I know what we'll do. We won't stop talking. We won't stop protesting. We won't relent until the government finally acknowledges this issue and takes actions to actually change the world.
Keep talking about climate change. Call it the climate crisis, the climate emergency. Name it and face it, because it is coming and we need to address it head on. We must strive to have our voices heard and refuse those who want us to be quiet. Now is the time to break that mold that we've been conditioned to live in. We're too young to talk about this, everybody says. But if we don't talk about this, our futures will disappear right before our eyes. It is time to give the youth a seat at the table. In fact, let the youth take over the whole table so that we lead the conversation and we bring attention to this issue so that action is taken. We do not have time to wait.
To the LA too. Living in San Francisco and the Bay Area is a privilege we cannot overlook. Living in this affluence is not something we can overlook. When we riot in the city, it is rewarded and praised. But we must remember that that is not the case everywhere. All of our talk and action will go to waste if you do not exercise your right to vote and power as an adult to help pave the way for a more sustainable and environmentally friendly future for all of us.
Keep fighting. Keep taking action. Keep pressuring politicians. We're playing a longer game than they are. As we go back to class and go back home, remember, we can change the world. It takes a little bit of courage and a lot of risks. But this issue is not impossible to crack. If we are relentless with our demand for change, we will get it.
Thank you!
ExxonMobil, BP, Shell, take your filth and go to hell. ExxonMobil, BP, Shell, take your filth and go to hell. ExxonMobil, BP, Shell, take your filth and go to hell.
Hi, my name is Sarah Goody. One of my greatest inspirations, Greta Thunberg, once said, "I want you to act like our house is on fire." Let me restate that sentence. Our house is on fire. The only place able to sustain human life is planet Earth. Yet we are currently setting it aflame. The excessive amount of CO2 that our civilization has produced is beyond frightening. This past year, in the United States alone, we have seen massive wildfires in California, some of the worst hurricanes in history, deadly floods, mudslides, and so much more. The term natural disaster is misleading because they are not natural. Fires that used to happen once in a person's lifetime are now occurring twice every year. And let us not forget that these so-called natural disasters are increasingly getting more powerful. This means as climate change worsens, so will natural disasters. And as natural disasters worsen, so will fatality rates, for humans as well as animals. Our environments and habitats will disappear, resulting in further extinction of species. We will have millions of climate refugees with little room for the population to live in. We will be in an economic crisis as well as in a food shortage. And this climate crisis will further divide our planet into more racial and privilege barriers. Because communities of color often are looked down upon and given less resources. Once food, shelter, and care becomes limited, it will be those underprivileged communities that are overlooked. So yes, our house is on fire. And if we don't call the firefighters now, it'll burn down. Scientists say we have until 2030 before climate change will be irreversible. That's 10 years, 7 months, and 11 days to save the human race. As young people, we are told to back off, that we should be kids and wait until we get older to immerse ourselves in activism. We are told that we are too small to make a difference. Well, by being here today, we are proving them wrong. Climate change will affect our future, and therefore we should have a say before it's too late. We cannot wait 10 years till we become real adults. By then, the effects of global warming will be near impossible to reverse. We need to start acting now before it's too late. I have gotten this statement from adults many times. Climate change is a scary issue, and we should not burden our children with the thoughts of the climate crisis. And I agree. Climate change is the scariest thing out there. It could mean the end of humanity and everything we have known to exist. But you know what is scarier than learning about climate change in your 5th grade class? It's 50 years later, and you are fleeing from a wildfire that has engulfed your community. It's explaining to your children why they are climate refugees. It's facing the fact that nothing was done to prevent the greatest living organism to ever exist from extinction. But let us look at the positive. We are all here today. This shows us that people do care. That with education, we can get our society to change. I know I was going to try to be positive, but honestly, it will not be easy. In fact, change is one of the last things humans are willing to accept. Change is daunting. It means leaving behind what is comfortable. But change is what will save our humanity. Change is our answer. So I challenge you to ask yourself, what can I change about my life that will help our environment? Whether this means adapting a diet with less animal products or reducing the amount of plastic you use. Although this change seems small, it is still something. But don't forget that it will not be enough. We need dramatic political action. And the way for this to happen is if
change a few things in our daily lives in order to make a difference, but not anymore. It's not up to us anymore. Now it's up to large corporations who continuously prioritize profit over the health of our environment and the well-being of future generations. It's these huge companies that are essentially shortening our lease on life and aren't even pretending to care about how we will fix the problems they are causing. It's these grown-ass men who maybe can live in ignorance and procrastinate on solving the problems of climate change and hand it off to the next generation. Well, we can't do that anymore. We can't afford to push it back anymore, and it ends here with us. If the adults in the world are not going to take care of it, then we have to. And it is frustrating.
No.
At least you don't. That we matter and that our opinions matter. It's frustrating to constantly have to repeat ourselves because people look at us like we're not responsible or smart enough to have an opinion on the issue. It's frustrating never being taken seriously when no one else is doing anything to fix the issue and the needs that we have to confront. We might not have a legislative say in these decisions, but it doesn't mean we don't have the right to an opinion. It doesn't mean that we don't have a right to be angry. Since we can't cast our votes, we have to find other ways to make our voices heard. These protests work. And it might seem like they don't because we're not seeing anything change, but trust me, the louder we yell, the more they are forced to just have to listen to us. They think that we can't be angry about this. They think that we can't have an opinion on this. But these decisions are going to affect us, not them. Us, and then we're going to have to fix it later. Isn't that messed up? It's messed up. Okay. It's frustrating. But it's important to not lose hope. It's important to not become cynical now more than ever. It's hard when it's so easy for men to try to control every part of women's bodies. It's hard when discrimination against the transgender community is being targeted at every level of society, from the military to homeless shelters. It's hard when young, innocent black men are being criminalized more than the kids taking hundreds of lives in school shootings. How can we even begin facing all of this when at the same time hanging over everyone is a deadline on the earth itself? There's a timer counting down to the moment where there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. It's counting down to the moment the average temperature of the earth will have crossed a threshold we can't come back from. Down to the moment where every endangered species officially goes extinct. Now, more than ever, is the moment to remember that what we say matters, what we do matters, what we believe in matters. Why wait until we're older to make change when we can make their lives hell now? Why wait until we can grow and do things the right way when we can sit here and tell them what we want our way now? We want to be taken seriously. We want to be heard. We're demanding action. We're demanding attention. They cannot ignore this issue, and they cannot ignore us. We're going to walk around City Hall. We're going to tell them what we think, and then we're going to reconvene back here for some closing words.
Climate change is not a lie. Do not let our planet die. Climate change is not a change has got to go, hey, hey.
When do we want
Climate change has got to go, hey, hey.
climate justice? When do we want it? Now! What do we want?
Climate justice!
Now! What do we want?
Climate justice!
Do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
Now! What do we want?
Climate justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Climate justice!
Now! Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out here. This movement will not be possible without as many people as possible. Yeah, we really appreciate everyone giving school or work to come today. It takes a lot of energy and hard work to build a movement, but we're doing it and we're making people listen to us and it's working. So you have to keep showing up.
This is just one of 1,400 strikes in 110 countries. So we're really doing something, guys. If you want to come to more protests, more direct action, Extinction Rebellion is always having more actions. XR Youth US is our tag on Instagram and Twitter. Please follow us if you want to get involved more directly. DM us, email us, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking for, we need to keep up this energy. I know we're moving into summer, but when we come back to school, we're going to hit the ground running just like we left off. So thank you, everyone. Follow our Instagram. Good luck on your
I would just like to say thank you everyone for coming out. We already said it, I know, but I would also like to thank all of the local police and the San Francisco Sheriff's Department for coming out here and just being here with us. So thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, especially Los Lomas. You guys are great. One more thing. Okay, there's another action happening this afternoon, kind of as still a part of like this kind of global day for action. So if you're interested, another youth group called Youth versus Apocalypse is holding an action from 4:30 to 5:30 this evening at the Investment and Corporate Banking One Market Plaza. We'll put it on our Instagram, but they're basically doing this art show to demand like local action. So we encourage you all to come out for that if you can as well, and just stay involved. We really appreciate it. Thank you.